Thank you, Dave. So it's not even halfway through the meeting and we have $1 million challenge on the table. Let's see if by the end of the day we can have a mentorship challenge on the table as well. Our next panelist is Dr Ghasemzadeh. He's an assistant professor in the Management and Economics School at Sharif University of Technology. He is the founder and CEO of Afronet, a leading internet and e-commerce company in Iran. Afronet was IPO'd in 2011 as the first internet company in Iran in the Tehran Stock Exchange. Currently, Afronet has one of the few commercial data centers in Iran providing cloud services. Dr. Ghasemzadeh received his BS in Industrial Engineering from Sharif University and his PhD in Management Science and Information Systems from McMaster University in Canada. Dr. Ghasemzadeh has published more than 10 academic papers in refereed journals and international conference proceedings, primarily on project portfolio selection, decision support systems, electronic commerce, and electronic government. He also has more than 100 articles in the media and has organized many conferences in Iran and abroad on the above subjects, and also on the impact of broadband internet and data center on development and their challenges in Iran. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dr Ghasemzadeh.
Okay, thank you very much, and welcome to this conference. This is a very valuable one. I really appreciate the organizer of that. In my presentation, I would like to share with you some facts and figures about Iran's ICT market opportunities. We hope we can bridge a gap, and all of you know Golden Gate, and definitely you remember Damovan, especially those who are not Iranian. That's the symbol of Iranians' pride, and we hope these fogs would fade away sooner or later, and thus we can facilitate what we plan to do. Okay, let me talk about Afronet a little bit, and then I will start my talk. Afronet was formed in the basement of my home about 16 years ago, and it was the first Iranian company which was IPO'd in Tehran Stock Exchange. Iranian stock market is not familiar with ID. IT people are not familiar with stock market, and that's a big challenge. That was a big challenge, still is a big challenge, and we are working to reconcile these two different markets. So we try to share our experience with young people who want to do the same, and we think that's the best way to go. So Afronet, as you can see in this graph, was IPO'd 3 years ago. Its value was about $6.5 million when we IPO'd. It has gone 10 times during the past 3 years, and it's continuing to grow because people are little by little realizing how important IT is, and they realize the G factor, growth factor in IT. My focus in this talk is going to be on knowledge-based industry. And we believe Iran has major potentials and competitive advantages, especially in terms of talented people, some of which are here. Many of them are distributed in all different countries, and we think we have very great opportunity here. Many of us didn't believe Iran's volleyball team or basketball team is going to do what they did in the recent years. When I was young, Asian Games was in Iran, and I remember water polo. Iran was the first in Asia. That was the first and unfortunately the last time we were at the top of Asia in water polo. There are many areas if we work on, if we will think about them and manage them, we can grow. And ICT industry, especially among other knowledge-based industries, is definitely one of them. There are lots of opportunities in Iran, among which are very well-educated and young population. We have 900,000 graduates in IT every year. Not all of them are highly qualified, but there are many qualified people among them. You can see some of them in Stanford, Berkeley, and other places as very successful entrepreneurs among you. Broadband internet, after a long delay, has started to take off. Last week, 3G, 4G, LTE license was approved by the government for the first time, and it's going to take off. Definitely, there are some barriers. We shouldn't be worried about that. We will pass those barriers. Awareness about internet advantages is high. It wasn't like this when I returned to Iran 16 years ago. I remember no one knew what internet is. I remember the first banners that we used to put on Karaj Highway to introduce Afronet. We had to first introduce internet. And I remember we put a big, we put a big banner on Karaj Highway, and that was why people used to call us and say, okay, can you please come and install one of these antennas for us? And we said, we are not in a dish business. And they said, what business are you in? And we used to say, we are in internet business. And they used to ask, what is the internet? And our call center people 15 years ago used to explain what internet is. And one of the most funny questions they used to ask was, what is the best time we can watch internet? So this is how we started internet in Iran. This is not the case anymore. Awareness about internet has gone up drastically in the past 15 years. Iran is the largest untapped internet market in the world. No major local brands are there in Iran yet. Even email, we don't have a local brand yet. All of these things seem to be threat, but we entrepreneurs look at them as big opportunities, because if we don't look at them as opportunity, then like others, we have to wait until everything is resolved. We won't wait. We take them as opportunities. There are a high number of successful Iranians abroad. We believe they are the real bridge between advanced countries and Iran, and this is the synergy that can advance the country. Let me give you some numbers. Some of them might be very surprising to you. Global market of ICT services is $1.8 trillion. Iran's share, according to its population, if you consider it 80 million people, we have 1% of the whole world population. Looking into GDP, we have 1.2% of the world GDP. But let's stay at 1%. So we have to have $18 billion ICT services market. Currently, we have $6 billion. That will put aside let me go forward, sorry about that. $12 billion is the market potential of ICT services in Iran. In terms of electronic commerce, we have $16 billion e-commerce market in Iran last year. Major factor in development in the 2nd century was Silk Road. In the 19th century was railroad. And in 21st century is broadband, either it's fixed or mobile broadband. And this is the part that is taking off in Iran very, very rapidly. The other thing that's important is the marriage of 4G LTE with cloud. Cloud is taking shape in Iran. We are experiencing some cloud services in Iran, and the marriage of these two will create a big leap, and all industries will be changed. You want to increase innovation, lower the cost of failure. This is by MIT Media Lab, and what it means is that when you use cloud, entrepreneurs do not need to put so much capital in advance. In other words, CapEx is changed to OpEx. Capital expenditure is changed to operational expenditures. That will bring down the cost of failure. As the cost of failure goes down, you will witness an exponential growth in innovation. That is something which has happened here. That's something which will happen in Iran in the coming years. This development has already started in Iran, and together we can accelerate it. Thank you very much.